Israel is at war and the U.S. is sending help. The latest on Israel's response to the surprise attack from Hamas. And more auto workers are set to go on strike, but this time against Mack Trucks. The morning rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Monday, October 9th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. A war rages in Israel this morning, and U.S. warships are currently moving in as a signal of support. Hamas militants staged a surprise attack, killing more than 700 people, including at least 4 Americans, launching a barrage of thousands of rockets, invading multiple communities, and taking hostages. New this morning, Israel has ordered a full siege of the Gaza Strip, cutting off power, food, water, and fuel. This comes as the Israeli army says it has also retaken control of communities near the Gaza border more than 48 hours after the attack by the Palestinian militant group that controls the Gaza Strip. Hamas, deemed a terrorist organization by the U.S., crossed into Israel Saturday morning by land, sea, and air, striking major cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Israel has retaliated with airstrikes of its own into Gaza. On Sunday, the Israeli government formally declared war, one that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says will be a long and difficult one, issuing this message shortly after the attacks began.
Citizens of Israel, we are at war, not in operation or in fighting rounds, but at war. This morning, Hamas launched a murderous surprise attack against the state of Israel and its citizens.
Armed Hamas militants entered 22 Israeli towns, taking hostages back with them to Gaza, both civilians and soldiers. 260 people were ambushed at a music festival and killed, others kidnapped and unaccounted for. The leader of Hamas's military wing says the assault comes as a response to Israel's blockade on Gaza and its occupation of the West Bank. A relentless and deadly conflict between Israel and Palestinians has lasted for centuries, this attack being the worst in decades. More than 74,000 people living in Gaza have fled their homes, taking shelter into schools provided by the United Nations. Israel is expected to launch a ground response into Gaza in the coming days. As news of the attack broke, President Joe Biden made it clear that America is behind Israel in its fight against the Palestinian militant group. But as the U.S. sends in military aircraft and Navy ships, Hamas militants say they will remain undeterred by movement from Israeli allies.
Today, the people of Israel are under attack, orchestrated by a terrorist organization, Hamas. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere, that the United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back.
The U.S. is sending multiple military ships and aircraft close to Israel as a show of support, including the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, which is the Navy's newest and most advanced aircraft carrier. 5,000 sailors and deck of warplanes will be accompanied by cruisers and destroyers. President Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday that additional assistance for the Israeli Defense Forces is on its way. Hamas is backed by Iran, and it is believed to receive most of its funding from Iran. Over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal cited senior members of the Palestinian militant group, claiming Iran helped plan the attack over the course of several weeks. This morning, Iran's foreign ministry denied the country had any involvement in Hamas's attack on Israel. However, because of the connection between Hamas and Iran, many Republican presidential candidates are speaking out against the Biden administration's approval to unfreeze $6 billion in Iranian assets as part of a prisoner swap last month. Biden administration officials say the $6 billion was not U.S. taxpayer money, but payments from South Korea to Iran for oil. The funds, which officials say are to only be used for humanitarian purposes, have not been fully transferred to the Iranian government. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suggested the Biden administration empowered Iran after the agreement, saying that other funds could be freed up now as a result of the $6 billion. Former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley told NBC's Meet the Press, quote, "To think they're not moving around money is irresponsible. It was wrong to release the $6 billion." More than 2,000 people were killed in a 6.3 magnitude earthquake that struck the western portion of Afghanistan on Saturday, according to the Taliban, who have been in control of the country for 2 years. This latest earthquake is the deadliest the country has seen in decades, already twice as deadly as last summer's 6.2 magnitude earthquake in Afghanistan. A spokesperson said on top of the thousands dead, around 1,200 people had been injured and around 1,000 homes destroyed. Afghanistan's response to natural disasters has been hampered since the Taliban seized control of Afghanistan following the United States withdrawal in 2021. The country's healthcare system is almost fully reliant on foreign aid, but donors, including the Red Cross, have pulled back on financial support. Recovery efforts will continue today and likely many weeks ahead. Some 4,000 members of the United Auto Workers Union are set to go on strike this morning, not against the big three Detroit automakers, but Volvo-owned Mack Trucks. 73% of the union members rejected a tentative 5-year contract agreement by Mack on Sunday, voting to go on strike in 3 states today. The deal included a 20% increase in general wages over 5 years, but union members are holding out for more. Mack President Stephen Roy said in a statement, the company was surprised by the UAW's decision to strike. Thousands of UAW members across the country have been on strike against General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis since September 15th. Last week, there were reports of significant progress in bargaining talks between the union and the Detroit automakers. Finally, this morning, we leave you with a story about bringing back light into the darkness. A 150-year-old lighthouse in the Florida Keys that once was a beacon to help guide ships through treacherous waters is shining once more. The Alligator Lighthouse, that has stood since 1873, stayed lit until about 10 years ago and has been dark ever since. But a community group is spending $6 million to restore and preserve the lighthouse they call its Statue of Liberty. This past weekend, the Alligator Lighthouse, named after a Navy ship that sank in the area in 1822, was back on. It was, however, just a reminder of the group's goal to bring back the illuminated landmark permanently, a project that is expected to take up to 6 years to complete. These are your top stories for this Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our Morning Rundown podcast to listen to our show each weekday. Unbiased, straight facts, that's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.